Hello, good day again. My name is Ekens Azubike, the founder of Ekens Foundation International. Today, I will be focusing on the difficulties facing immigrants around Canada based on the complicated Canadian immigration policies. In the first place, I want you to understand that within the last 6 years, Canada have changed about 6 or 5 immigration ministers, and each of these ministers have his own policy in well as soon as they are appointed, regardless of all the complicated and damage done by the previous government, which is conservative government during Stephen Harper. You understand that Trudeau government came into power in 2015 October, upon which he appointed new immigration minister. And I want you to understand that the complication of Canadian immigration policy originated by the conflict between Canada Border Service Agency and the Canada Citizenship and Immigration. It's not everybody may understand the difference between these two organizations. The first one is Canada Citizenship and Immigration, which is the CIC, responsible for all the Canadian immigrant applications under the immigration minister. And the other organization is Canada Border Service Agency. Canada Border Service Agency is one of those people you see when you arrive Canada at the frontier. The Canada Border Service Agency responsible for deportation of immigrants and guiding securing the border, making sure that whoever come into Canada have a genuine mind intention to come to Canada. This is outside the Canada Security and Intelligence Agency, which is the body responsible for security clearance for anyone coming into Canada. But this Canada Border Service Agency is the organization you see when you're coming into Canada, and as soon as you make something like a refugee or you have an application within the Citizenship and Immigration, which is the Minister of Immigration, and whenever your application is exhausted, which means you have exhausted all your domestic remedy in Canada, then what will happen is the Canada Border Service Agency will take over your file, and their duty is to force a removal. Because when you arrive Canada on the ground of seeking political asylum, be a refugee or ordinary asylum seeker based on political ground or ethnicity or religious or gender or particular ethnic group, what the Canada Border Service Agency oftentimes done is to issue a deportation order against you, which means this means like deportation without execution. And this deportation order will be moot on your file pending the outcome of your immigration file. And as soon as you exhaust all your domestic remedy in terms of appeal or denial of refugee board or whatever, then the Canada Border Service Agency will activate the inactive deportation order already in your file. This is what people don't know. Next time I will go into details of other issues, but at this moment I'll focus on these two organizations and the conflict which two of them creates. And another problematic agency in Canada is the Minister of Justice, which is the person that oversees the activities of Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice can appeal a decision rendered by any federal board. It means that if the Canada Citizenship and Immigration decide to grant you a residency in Canada, the Minister of Justice may challenge it. And this Minister of Justice is the Attorney General that represents the Minister of Immigration and Minister of Canada Border Service Agency, which is under Minister of Public Safety. So this complication and conflict, it creates so many vacuums in the Canadian immigration policy. Now, why do we have this kind of complication? Do you think Canada accepting immigrants because they are too generous, or because they want the border to be porous, or they want to welcome everybody in Canada? No, that is not the case. Canada population for many decades have not increased as expected under normal circumstances. If you check the population, we might be talking about 34 million, while the Canadian landmark is vast more than the United States. So what it means that Canadian landmarks have not been developed. So I will, from time to time, explain all these situations to you. Now, are you aware that the Canada Border Service Agency received up to 46 million million dollars, Canadian dollars, every year for deportation of immigrants? Are you aware that in Canada there are almost close to 800 to 1 million illegal immigrants across Canada? Are you aware there are so many people in Canada that cannot go to hospital when they are sick, they cannot work, they cannot do anything legal because they are illegal? So, on what ground do you think Canada is canvassing for people to come to Canada? I want you to understand that in 2023, Canada made about 21 to 25 billion dollars on international students. And this year, the new immigration minister, since January 2024, made it clear that if you are coming to Canada as an international student, you must have at least a minimum of $22,000 for school. I want you to understand my concern in regard to the Canadian immigration policies, because those people that are making the law are staying under their comfort. I am working directly through the grassroots of immigrants. I know their concern, I know their needs, and oftentimes the regional managers of Canada Border Service Agency and Citizenship and Immigration does not give adequate briefing to the Ottawa minister, who may not be conversant with all what is going on, other than making policies. The problem in politics, as a student of political ideology, the problem you face in politics is that those who are in parliament passing law that regulates how you live, how you survive, are not professionals. Because whenever they are passing law, regardless of the committees, whenever they are passing law, the law has been passed based on the vote, no, not based on professionalism. And this have, in the recent years, affected immigrants coming into Canada. We have so many organizations or programs under the Ekens Foundation International for all immigrants, whether you are coming for refugee, whether you are coming as an international student, whether it's sponsorship, we will study your file and tell you your option based on your situation after the evaluation of your circumstances. Now, why do you think the Canadian government refused to legalize all illegal immigrants? Rather, they spend money deporting them, and spend money advertising that they need immigrants. Before you migrate to Canada or you spend your money, sell all what you have, do adequate research, consult a lot of people, friends, and families already in Canada, ask them a genuine question and have a genuine answer. May you have any concern in regards to the Canada immigration policy? We are available. We will be uploading most of the programs we have to assist immigrants on the website www.ekensfoundation.org. And if you can send us message on WhatsApp or Messenger on Facebook, we are willing to respond. And the next coming days, I will focus on the violation of Canadian immigration policy against refugee applicants under the international law. Because as I'm talking to you, most of my clients are in various detention in Canadian immigration cells. And the most recent heartbreaking was one of my clients who was deported after 3 to 4 months under suicidal watch. The Canadian Border Service Agency went to Douglas Institute in Montreal, where my client was taking treatment for mental disorder and suicide thoughts. And the Canadian Border Service Agency forced a resident doctor to sign a discharge documents and to write that the patient does not need treatment. After they adopted this client, they detained this client at the Laval Immigration Prevention Center for almost 3 months. And after which he was deported to Africa with 4 immigration officers and 1 nurse and 1 doctor. Could you imagine what kind of immigration policy a minister can endorse to deport someone with mental illness, where he will face irreparable harm and irreparable harm and degrading treatment? This action is against the international law, is against the international customary law, against the international refugee law, against international humanitarian law, and against international refoulement. And as an international petitioner, my job is to compel the host country to bind by their international obligation, which was consented by them and signed and ratified by the international treaty. But when it comes to Canada, in the recent years, the United Nations Human Rights Committee in Geneva is no more a safe place for people or those whom their right was violated under the international law to seek redress, because the Canadian government have managed to influence those United Nations organs in the recent time. The problem we face in Canada is because those ministers surrender themselves with those that are not knowledgeable on immigration policies. We are available for any assistance you may have regard to immigration in Canada. We may find a solution based on our across-border last resort after you might have exhausted all your domestic remedy. I understand that most of those Canada Border Service Agency, they are human, but the problem is they are bound by their obligation, by their work, not by sympathy. And the lawyers in Canada are not being fair to immigrants because most of them focus on money, three aspects. We have seen in several locations where the deportation was stopped, but the Canada Border Service Agency refused to obey the federal court order. And using a systematic operation and reprisal action against clients, I'm calling on the Minister of Public and Safety and the Minister of Citizenship and Immigration to review their policies regards to refugee and immigration and to make surprise visits to most of the detention across Canada in order to ascertain condition of those immigrants. And I've been calling for Canadian government since Trudeau assumed office 2015 to establish what is known as Canada Immigration Ombudsman, which will be a body of oversight for all rejected applications, to have a second look before any enforcement of removal will take place. I will upload the proposal which we have tabled to the Parliament, such as immigrants staying in Canada for more than 10 years, working and contributing to the economy of Canada, and finally get deported and he lose his pension, lose his rights. And regardless the position, if you are trying to migrate to Canada, we may be of good assistance to evaluate your circumstances in order to consider the best possible option for you so you don't come to Canada and end up, being regretting it of why you left your home country. And have in mind that for you to make it in Canada, you need to upgrade yourself in terms of academic. Otherwise, you will end up working as a factory worker for all your life in Canada. Thank you very much. I would like you to share our program and let others benefit from our program. And we are available to any question. We have many programs for those that are illegal in Canada, which is not advisable for anyone to be illegal in Canada. We advise you to make sure you regularize yourself and make a restoration of status. If you have any letter from Canada Immigration or Federal Board or Refugee Board or Canada Immigration and Citizenship, you have 15 days for appeal to go to federal court. Don't let your file be abandoned. Don't go underground. It's not the best option when you are in Canada. Contact us. There may be a solution for you. Immigration like when you are honest, not when you lie to them. I saw somebody coming from Nigeria who was deported the last 2 weeks after arriving in Canada. Regardless, he had 5 years visitor visa. But the problem was misrepresentation because he lied, did not disclose that Turkey government has denied him visa in the past. Immigration Canada is very simple if you are honest to them. If you have honest intention to come to Canada, you will benefit. But Canada is not a country where you play a game, try to lie or try to, manipulate. Sometimes it's out of ignorance. But one other thing you should know is that There are so many violations of applicant rights by those officers. And whenever an officer made a mistake on your file, they will never give up, they will never accept. Rather, they will spend millions of dollars to fight you to make sure you are removed. It's not the way you see Canada on television or internet. Do more research and don't fall for the hand of those bogus agencies. Ekens Foundation International have decades of experience and are in position to give you an advice, to in position to fight for your case. We are in position to take your case to any level as long as we understand your circumstances. Canada is not a place where you take things on granted because they spend millions of dollars on their officers. Most of them have minimum degree in sociology, criminology, and most of them in humanitarian activities or studies. But have in mind that human characteristics are biased in nature. So most of those officers are not always perfect in their decision. Any decision you get from them is not final. Bring it to us, we will evaluate it. Within 15 days, we may have a solution for you. Thank you very much. Don't forget, my name remains Ekens Azubike, the founder of Ekens Foundation International. We have office in Dubai and we have office in Panama. We also have office in Canada. For any immigration difficulties, give us a call. We have free services for all clients. We are friends of justice. We give free services to those in need. Thank you and remain blessed.